to discuss the RFP for the bill tracking system or tracking service. And I think we'll start out with Tom Day going over page 19 and 20, which are the specifications, hitting the highlights, and then we'll go from there.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. One question that I may have to start with would be for Senator Sykes to make sure that she has a copy of the initial RFP. Senator Sykes, do you have a copy with you?
I do not have a copy. Is it the one from our last LCC meeting?
Yes, it was the one that was sent out on, or that was handed out at the last meeting.
Okay, let me pull it up on my email.
And we'll be looking at pages 19 and 20 out of that document.
Okay.
So, Mr. Speaker, Mr. President, Madam Minority Leader, pages 19 and 20 out of the document that was passed out at the last meeting are the pertinent, other than legalese of that document, deal with the specifications for a request for proposal for a bill tracking service. You'll notice on page 19 basically are the specifications in paragraph format and just what the legislature is looking for in a bill tracking service. We will have could have approximately 400 users. That would include all 165 legislators. It could include temporary session staff. It would include permanent agency staff, the revisor's office, research department, legislative services, the legislative post-audit division, and then also the state library has been included in the past as part of any subscription that we've had for a bill tracking service. We're seeking the bill tracking service to search and view legislation from all 50 states. The tracking software should have full text of bills, search, bill summaries, fiscal notes, amendatory language that may come up, and it should provide by bill numbers, it should provide by topics, it should provide by keyword searches, just the whole gamut of search capabilities. The purpose would be for a robust bill tracking service to assist the legislators and the legislative staff. And also we would require that the vendors, because of such, we have such security issues nowadays with internet and everything else, that the vendors disclose their security standards that they adhere to, so that we make sure that they are within compliance of the international standards, the Computer Information Standards Association. They disclose those, and then any additional features that they might have within a bill tracking service, we would want them to list out as well. Not just a base service, but also any additional features that they may also be able to provide to us. Then I get into, on pages, the very bottom of page 19 and then all of page 20, 20, are the different specifications that we would look for in a 50-state bill tracking service. As I was, from the time of the last meeting till this meeting, I have also been thinking that does the subcommittee and does the legislature want more of a default system for the Kansas bills, and then also the search capabilities for the other 49 states? And so that is a possibility that we would need to change pages 19 and 20 for that possibility if we wanted to look at more of a default specific Kansas and then the possibilities of search capabilities for the other 49 states.
Any questions for Tom yet? We're going to have time to talk to him more, so any questions? So,
Tom,
yeah, go on ahead.
Okay, thank you. So on page 19, that second paragraph in section 4, where it says staff to search and view from all 50 states, are you saying you're possibly changing the language there to primarily Kansas with access to 50 states?
That would, some of the language in that paragraph would need to change if the subcommittee decided that we wanted to make Kansas a default. And so we would have to kind of tweak that language a little bit so that it spells that out, that Kansas would be a default, and then the other 49 state search would be another feature of the bill tracking service.
And Senator Sykes, I think we're going to have a little bit more here on that that'll probably bring that into clearer focus. President Masterson has a list of things that are, I guess, need, want, and then maybe. And we'll go through there. There's some things that people use, specifically here in Kansas, that we want to make sure would be a part of anything because it's important to them. And I'm going to turn it over to Senator Masterson, and we can go through this.
Thank you.
Thank you, Don. So what we had kind of looked through, and I think might be a good idea, and none of this detail has to happen in this meeting. What we probably need to focus on in this meeting is kind of the timeline to get back with you. But I think in this specification section, or maybe it even would move to an addendum or a supplement of some sort, I'd like to see us list what our current functionality is so we fully understand what our current functionality is, not that even those are requirements, and then desired functionality. And that's where I would see, the 50-state function and some of these other things coming in, that's a desired function. And then if we decide we want to list some, absolute required functions, and then leave a place where we would be asking for maybe any unique or additional functionality from those that are bidding, but a statement that basically shows everybody, this is our current functionality, this is our desired functionality, and this is required functionality, and then do you have any functionality in excess of that? And I think that's something that we probably can't whittle down to today, but I think what I would see coming out of this meeting is us setting a timeline for the subcommittee on administration and staff to kind of shoot back and forth what those lists look like so we fully understand. And then we could basically today set timelines for finalizing those documents to bring back. That's the way I see today moving.
Well, I think if we, from a timeline standpoint, I think if we look, maybe we set the end and work our way back. I really think that whatever we do, we need to have a decision made and give whoever the winner is 6 months to implement, because we've extended it clear out to 6/30 of next year. But I would say our end has to be before December 31. Now let's work our way back in time of when we need to get everything out. I also think our current provider, there's a lot of things that they do that I don't know that everybody else will do. I don't know that. I do not know that. I've talked to Ty about it. I would say, interestingly enough, the Senate uses our current plan a lot more than the House does. And I think that is probably just because a lot of people don't know that it's out there. And so they haven't used it.
Okay, to clarify, your December 31st, are you thinking 2024? And then we would possibly be utilized. We have the contract with CanFocus through 6/30 of
2025. Right.
So,
right. So that gives whoever is the winner of the RFP, or if we stay with our current, and it could be that our current provider ends up adding pieces that we've looked at from others to theirs. So
Okay.
I actually like that idea because then you have one session where it's, particularly if it's a different vendor, let alone you have kind of a soft opening where they can run with real-time data through a session while you still have the overlaying functionality. I like that. I like that idea. How much time do you need then if we're going to try to issue by the end of the calendar year? How much time is needed for those bidding to propose and then?
We could set whatever timeline we wanted for all of that. Normally, we would give vendors at least 30 days to put a proposal together. Now, we could shorten that, but with a past couple of RFPs that we have put out on behalf of the legislature, invariably, vendors will request extensions. But because the last couple of RFPs have had specific language and proviso language with the dates and everything else, you know, it's not feasible without going to the full LCC meeting to ask for that extension. So basically, I have just denied those extension requests all along because then we would have drug it out for another month or two, and then who knew? But
let me ask this question. So is a month long enough once they get the RFP for them to respond? Is 30 days enough?
that would depend on the specific vendor, probably, because if they already have a software in place and does a lot of the things, they could probably push one out in 30 days. If they don't and would have to tailor it to the RFP and the legislature's will and wants, probably not. Probably 6 weeks and possibly 2 months.
So we could maybe push it out to 45 days.
Yeah.
So let's say we have the RFP ready to go by the end of this month, which on the 21st, we're going to have another LCC meeting, and at that point, the LCC will vote on the RFP. So September, so October 15th. What I envision realistically is once the RFP comes in, or once the responses come in, that we have another LCC meeting where we bring all LCC members in and we have a full day of demos. So we can see what the ones that we want to see. I mean, we're going to probably have to narrow it down to a certain number, but we have demos from each one to where we can see exactly what each one does, give the LCC time to digest that information and then come back, you know, another 2 weeks or a month and finally have a vote on what we're going to do.
That is actually a good time frame, Mr. Speaker. Also, wanting LCC members to see the different demos, we also have used and have the capabilities with WebEx to record everything, and then even if it's not a publicly broadcast meeting, we have the ability to record those and send links out of those meetings to the individual LCC members so that they could also review them on their own time if they could not make the meetings to see the demos.
So I think that's kind of, go on ahead, Senator Sykes.
I think that's great. I would also add maybe having some access, because I know I do not use the software as much as my office staff, that making sure that they have the capability, because they're the ones who are using it, you know, more day to day. And I think they would be able to give a better overall understanding and maybe some of the pieces that they really feel need to be accessible.
Tom?
Senator Sykes, Mr. Speaker, Mr. President, we also, we have done that with previous RFPs where basically all leadership staff is invited. All 4 legislative agency staff are invited if they would choose to attend. So, yeah, that's a definite for especially leadership staff to make sure that if the leader can't be there or if the leader is there, they use it a little more probably. And so they would have either more questions to be able to ask and or be able to relay the information back to the leaders.
Okay.
Okay. Perfect.
So Senator Masterson, you think we should probably go through this today?
Oh, you want to go through? Yeah, we can.
We should go through this. The Senate President made a list of things, like he said, of
That's my
current.
majority leader's office. I didn't make that list, so.
Take credit where you can. And I think you need to know this because some of this stuff needs to be put into this final RFP, and you've got a couple of weeks to get that RFP developed so we can vote on it on the 21st, so not very long.
And because this is also recorded, I can go back to watch the recording.
Okay.
Well, and I don't see why we can't share this document around to kind of work through it, because I don't know that it's exhaustive. It's one office's opinion of where we currently are. I think for today, and this is the timeline I heard, and I want to make sure it says so we would have until our August 21st meeting, this would be a working document until we get there, and then we'd approve.
Right.
We'd approve the RFP.
Exactly.
Try to get that issued by mid-September or sooner. Give at least 45 days. That'd put you end of October for responses, which would then give us November, another 45 days to evaluate all the different responses. So mid-December, you could award. And then that should give whoever wins 30, 45 days to kind of get implemented for the test run through session for full implementation. Is that?
I think that's a good timeline, yeah.
Okay. So with that, we can, if you'd like to go through this. I think this is a working document, though,
Well, and
that
I
probably
think
needs to be a go-around.
I think it'd probably be good just to kind of go over there's some things in there that maybe I don't agree with and some I do. But let's go through what our current system does right now that's very important to our people.
So I think probably the thing I know the current system does that I want to make sure is I'm not sure out-of-state functions can do, but if they can, great, is that real-time function. When we're in session and I'm watching, that's when I use it the most personally. Staff tracks a lot more through it, uses kind of that leadership function of tracking kind of priorities. But when you're on the floor, I'm able to see who's at the well, who's trying to amendment, what bill you're on, what's coming up next. And kind of in real time, it helps my decision-making process. Especially towards the end of session, we're on the floor at the same time. You're like we don't have time to talk because you're running your shop. So that real-time, go ahead, Dinah.
Yeah, just that real time is really important, but also making sure that in conference committees that it's able to do real time in there, because that's really, I think, my biggest concern, because conference committees are really hard because there are multiple going on at the same time, and being able to track that real time in that situation.
That's more of a question for me. I guess I only use it when we're in main session. I don't know that the functionality currently is in conference real
I
time.
don't think it is.
But that could be
know
a desired,
some people have
that can
been
be a
able to-
desired function.
Yes, it is currently. He said it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's the main one. But then just the tracking, the vote ranking, I think is good current functionality as we look and see how we're voting as a group, who votes with who. You can kind of go down to the individual legislators. You can see committee action. Then currently we have like a little bit of a leadership dashboard too. So we had our joint Better Way plan. So we were putting bills into that to make sure if this bill we thought met the Better Way. So it kind of groups them up and you can kind of track subsets of bills, was good. But those are the ones that are primarily on here as current functions we want to make sure we keep. Yeah, I said vote ranking,
Dinah, Senator Sykes, do you have anything to add to that?
No, that sounded good. I was just making sure that in those conference committees, just the real time is what I'm most concerned about being able to track.
So there's a couple of things, and I don't know if it's on 19 or 20, but we have heard about the ability to have a social media dashboard to where, and I haven't seen it, but Blake was telling me about it, where it's covering, it's kind of following all that social media out there so you can see what's happening, see what our people are saying. That might be kind of cool. That 50 state is something I think even our current carrier can probably get there, which I think that's one of the things that I think it'd be really, really helpful for us. Research is great. We have great research, and we can call research, but sometimes, if you could just type it in and just see what's out there and not bother them just to get a good look, then you can go to the research and have them really do their exhaustive work that they do. I think that would be very, very helpful. So I think that's important.
I'd certainly be amenable to that kind of a desired functionality. I've not seen a dashboard like that, but I mean, my understanding is you're talking about, you could type in, you could put into the system what you're tracking, this social media, that social media, and then it would alert you as they post. So you could kind of one-stop shop.
Yeah. So and it could, and I've not seen it, but I'm assuming, just thinking through it, that it's following the players. It's following the people that are out there posting. And that's not me. So they're not going to get a whole lot out of me. It's not you either, because I know you don't put a lot out there. But we do have members that put a lot of stuff out there. So
Wait till
I
AI
would say
kicks in.
if it
Go ahead,
does
Dinah.
have a social media function, being able to get that information out to constituents, like as things are happening in committee. I mean, I understand like tracking what different members are doing, but actually trying to get, the bill and real time out to different groups who care about that. I think that's important.
So, as far as change in the I think, does anybody have anything else on that vein? So change in the RFP to include those things, probably not going to be a big lift, is it? So I think that we need to get those added and make the changes. We just don't want to, I've talked to Senate President several times about this. My whole reason for doing this was just to see what's out there. It's not to, if we don't need to make a change, let's not make a change. But there's other stuff out there, and quite frankly, we may become better by this exercise. And so, I think when it's all said and done, I think we'll get a whole lot better understanding of what's available. We'll also get an understanding of what our current provider can do in that. And I think that maybe we just become a whole lot better at this. So I really think it's a great thing. And from a fiduciary standpoint, it's a great thing for us to be good fiduciaries of our money and making sure that we're getting what we need. So might end up being an exercise in futility. I don't know. So, Dinah?
So my question I think this is good, and I think more information is great, but I really want the functionality for Kansas. Is there a specific reason of why we're wanting the 50 states? Like, I think that's fine. And I mean, I ask in CSL and CSG, and I do some of this, but just as the thought process went, and why is there a specific reason why we're wanting that 50 state info as well?
Yeah, it's just to be able to know, you literally can, from what I understand, you can just type in a couple of keywords and you can see what is going on in the other 50 states when it comes to bills. And you could use it during session or out of session. So it may become a research tool for you to start down your own research before you get KLRD involved in whatever you're trying to do. So it's really just the ability to gather information quickly so you can see, and then we're never going to replace KLRD because they do such a great job of research for us. But certainly I hope that we can give them a better idea of what we're looking for just because we've already done this quick search that's available to us through this system. So I think that's it. That's the purpose for it.
Okay. Yeah. And that's added information that I think is great, but I just really want the functionality of the Kansas specific, and like the other is the added on. So,
Right.
yeah.
Well, and I think in the end, our RFP will probably look a lot like that. That it's going to require the things that Kansas currently has, and then these other things could be added. And of course, we all know that when you add things, there's a cost to it. That doesn't mean it's free. There's a cost. So, but it's going to give us, number one, a chance to really look and see what's out there, and also to see, you know, how we stack up against everything else that's out there. I think it may be a little bit difficult for the others, actually, when you have real time. I'm not sure anybody, maybe but our own, has real time. There may not be anybody that has real time.
Okay.
Yeah, it's daily instead of a minute or by the hour. So I think that may be a very difficult piece for the others. Ty?
Okay.
Yeah, I think this has been a good conversation. I like where we're headed. If you're amenable, do we need to formally set a timeline as far as make a motion and those types of things? I think what I'd like to propose is,
I think he will actually put the timeline in there, and then we'll vote on that at the next meeting.
but for just
We've laid out the timeline. You've got that.
direction, meaning
Yeah.
by end of August, we come to consensus on what the RFP is with what our discussion today. By September 15, it'd be issued. By October 31, we'd have responses. By December 15th, we'd have our evaluation done and award, which would then give them roughly a month to get their soft opening in place for session, and then full implementation by July 1. So,
Yep.
okay.
Anything else? Senator Sykes, do you have anything else?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Okay. Senator Masterson, you okay? Well, I appreciate everybody coming in here for this short meeting, but it's an important meeting. I think this really gives everybody a direction of where we want to go, and then we'll be prepared on the 21st of August for the next LCC meeting, and we'll go from there. So we are adjourned.
All right. Thank you. Bye.